I'm shocked.
I didn't want to put Foden in.
I am shocked.
I did not want to put Foden in.
So what made you?
The left wing spot is
awful.
Ugly.
Welcome back to Yanks Abroad. Today we have our full Premier League predictions, table 1 through 20, and then some way too early awards and team of the season.
Even the table feels way too early, considering how many transfers are probably going to happen.
Are they going to
now.
happen?
I mean, in the next 4 weeks, like, it's literally irrelevant. Like, the table we're about to say could be completely different.
I have some caveats.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're the king of the caveat.
Yeah, all right.
Let's get right into it.
I'll just let you, I know you want to talk about Arsenal. We haven't talked about Arsenal in a while, and I assume that's where you have them in the table, number 1.
Before we get to the list of our predictions for the Premier League standings 1 through 20, make sure to click the link below and fill in your predictions for this season. Make sure you are subscribed and follow us on Instagram and TikTok. And the winner who has the most correct predictions will win a kit of their favorite team with their favorite player on the back, their choice of kit, first, second, or third from this season or from next if the kits have been released yet. Hit the link below, submit, make sure you have your name in there and you are subscribed to the channel, and the winner will be picked after the season ends. Yeah, Arsenal are going to win the Premier League this year. They're going to win it by 2 points. And it's going to be beautiful. And there's not a doubt in my mind about it. We're due. First of all, due theory, we're due. Let's just get that out of the way. Number 2, City are going through a little bit of a turnover right now for Man City. People are leaving.
Elaborate.
What do you mean elaborate?
Where's the turnover?
Well, Julian Alvarez is leaving.
A backup striker.
Potentially De Bruyne and Ederson have just both been rumored to be leaving.
That's not true. Pep already shut down
I understand,
KDB
but
thing.
It's a bit of a different situation. Their better players are aging quickly. De Bruyne has missed a lot of games in the last few years. Erling Haaland wasn't as good last year as the year prior.
Sure.
I think they need to bring another player in. I think neither of us are convinced by Doku. Grealish has not played a lot of football in the last 12 months.
He's played a lot in preseason.
They're bringing in Savinho, who, in theory is great. Let's see what he does. They're relying on Oscar Bob to be a massive part of their team this season.
Are they?
I think so, yeah.
Why?
Nunez never hit the ground running. The midfield's a little different. Rodri played 60 games last year.
So now we're doubting Rodri.
I'm just saying,
I think that Arsenal's going to win the league.
I think all of those things are the reason City are probably going to stick around 90, 91 points. I don't think they're going to have 100 points, and I think we're going to have 93, 94 points.
Okay, so you explain why Man City is going to be worse. Can you explain why Arsenal's going to be better?
Well, the margin last year was 2 points.
Sure.
So better. We need to be 4 points better.
Sure.
Okay, so here's why we'll be better.
Yeah.
You ready right now?
Please.
Okay. We have Timber, who's healthy. We brought in Calafiori.
Okay.
We've upgraded a position. A position will be upgraded every single week this season.
So the defense, that was already the best.
We are going to break Chelsea's record for the fewest goals conceded in a Premier League season.
The defense that was already the best in the league
is going to be better.
Got better.
Yes.
Was the defense the problem last year?
No, but we dropped 4 points to Fulham and 6 to Aston Villa.
Sure.
We don't drop those 4 points to Fulham. We win the Premier League. That's what we do this year. We don't drop 4 points to a Fulham.
Even with Emile Smith-Rowe?
He's juicy, man.
Juicy is not where I thought you were going with that adjective.
We have a center forward, finally, who's going to play every week at center forward, Kai Havertz.
Oh, I thought I may have.
Well, the Kai Havertz.
I thought I missed the signing.
The Kai Havertz experiment in center midfield cost us the beginning of the season, cost us a bunch of points. That won't happen this year. He will play center forward.
Is there anything to be said about Kai Havertz's performance for Germany this summer?
He was very good. If he does that all season, we'll win the Premier League.
Cool. Okay.
Saka will be 1 year older and better. 23 versus 22. Every year he's had higher goal contribution amount. As he continues to rise to his prime, he will continue to get better.
Yep.
And Ethan Nwaneri will play a role in this team in the left center midfield role against lower teams who will kill low blocks. And as a young kid, he will make a 2-point difference. I have us having 94 points to City's 91, and we win the Premier League by 3 points.
You said 2 points earlier.
Yeah, but I've changed my mind.
Fair. All right, so I have Man City winning the league. If Guardiola wasn't leaving after this year, I would actually probably have Arsenal winning the league.
But instead we're 5th because of...
But due to that, Man City winning the league, Arsenal will ultimately crumble, not get Champions League. So stick around for where I have Arsenal finishing this season. I have Man City winning the title strictly because of the Pep leaving theory. It is strong. I believe that Liverpool finished higher than most people expected because Klopp was leaving, and I think that that's going to carry them. They still have Rodri. They still have KDB. They have the exact same team that they have last year outside of Julian Alvarez, who I don't think is an impact player for them anyway. I think it is.
What do you have, like 19 goals all comps for them last year?
But I think a lot of people can step in the same way that I talk about Ben White in the Arsenal defense. I think Julian Alvarez is the same thing for Man City. Like, their attack is that lethal that anyone can step in and do a number for them. So I also think their defense was a bit shaky. I think Akanji had an extremely good Euros. He's improved. Stones was hurt last year. Diaz is amazing, and a full season of Vardiol. Kyle Walker is a question mark. I agree with that. But a lot of question marks that they had in defense, I think, will solve themselves with health. I mean, we can't predict injury, so we speak as if the team that we know
for sure.
is
We can't predict
there.
injury, but John Stones has a history of missing a lot of games. Kevin De Bruyne in the last 2 years has missed a lot of games. I think we can predict that they will miss games.
I think the summer has been so slow. I think City will drop points early, and Pep will be like, all right, enough is enough. Let's bring someone in. I don't know who it will be.
First of all, we play each other match week 5.
Yeah.
So that's a massive game.
Well, I think it'll be before that. I think like their second or third game, they might get a draw, and it's like, all right, Pep's like, I need someone to come in. By the way,
I mean,
I know it didn't fully come off, but I thought Doku looked extremely good at the Euros, and if he plays well, like I was reading a couple articles to prepare for this, and someone predicted that Doku could be in the Premier League Player of the Year running. While I think that is an exaggeration.
I saw that joke of an article as well.
While I think that is an exaggeration, I think there is potential for him to blow up. I also think another season of Grealish. They've played Grealish, Haaland, and Oscar Bob. That starting three has started every single preseason match for them, and I think he was great in their treble run, and I think if he gets consistent minutes, stays healthy, I still think he's a great player. Anyways.
I just think as far as like Manchester City goes, this is the first time where I last 2 years going into the year, I think it would have been an unbelievable upset for us to win the Premier League. I think the margins have become so thin, and we've had the better summer. We have the players entering their prime instead of leaving their prime for the most part.
Sure.
To me, that gives us the leg up, as well as the hunger. 2 years in a row, they've ousted us to the title in the last few weeks.
Yeah. No, sure. Once again, Pep's last year. Now I moved to Arsenal, who I did not have in the top 4. I have Arsenal finishing second. I hope that makes you happy.
I mean, it actually would be the two of them will finish 10 points clear of the rest of the table.
So I actually marked tier breaks at every place that I went through. This is where a clear tier break is.
And then literally 3 through 8, like those could finish. I changed them like 8 times.
Yeah, so Arsenal, I think, obviously, the defense got a lot better. You had Calafiori and Timber. There's no doubt about that. Will they let up less goals? Probably as a result, but for me, that wasn't really the problem. It's at the end of the season when things get tight, who are you going to lean on to score goals for you? And that's what they didn't address. The front three isn't any better outside of, sure, Saka may have gotten better, but I don't apply that theory to Martinelli by any stretch. I think you know more about Nwaneri than I do, but the big problem is who's going to play with Rice. Is it someone who plays deeper to allow him to stretch the field more, which is what
we're signing?
Like, I just don't. They had a fine summer, but I don't think they actually addressed the true problems that are in this side that ultimately decide a title race. When sure, Havertz and Saka and Odegaard may find enough goals to beat Fulham this year, sure, but if you need to go beat Man City or Liverpool, I still don't think you have the attackers to truly make the difference. And I know you're going to bring up the results of last year.
Well, that's actually the funny thing to me is like I'm not worried about playing those teams at all. Those teams are going to try and play with us, and therefore we are going to get points from them. That won't be the difference in the title. It wasn't the difference in the title last year. We were the best team against the top 6 in the league. We did not win. Manchester City does not drop points to Fulham, at least 4. Maybe they drop 1, not 4. That's the difference in the title race. And I know your take on Martinelli, but all Martinelli has to do is be somewhere between his best and what he was last year, and that's the difference of 2 points. It is. He was horrific last year.
But that's not true because Trossard also saved you guys.
Well, Trossard will continue to do that.
But what I'm saying is it's not like Martinelli played every single week and was awful, and it's like if he's just a little bit better, he makes up those points. Trossard actually made up those points. So he would need to bring his level above where Trossard got it to make up those points.
I disagree. I mean, I think we have very different takes on Martinelli, and we'll have a much clearer view after this season. And I think you're also forgetting that Gabriel Jesus was injured the entire year, like never healthy. And I mean, he looked horrible last year. Like he could not move. just the way he's moving in preseason and training is a completely different beast. It's the same Gabriel Jesus who was excellent the first 10 matches he played for Arsenal. Will we get that? I'm not saying we will, but you get a little bit more out of him, a little bit more out of Martinelli. You bring Marino in. Jorginho barely is going to play, and when he plays, he'll do what he does, which is be very, very good.
Is he signed yet?
Who?
Marino?
No, but it's as good as done. You're getting rid of some squad depth that you don't need, and Nketiah's going to leave. Nelson's leaving. Smith Rowe left. 3 of my favorite Hale enders of all time, but they're leaving. The squad becomes different. We add Marino and probably one more attacker in this window.
Are you going to add another?
We're going to. Well, here's the thing. Everyone wants to be like, you need to get Saka back up. Go get Rafinha or Neto. It's like these guys in the prime of their career want to come be back up to the best right winger in the world. No, they don't want to. Even if he's the second best right winger in the world, they don't want to come play
I agree.
15 matches a year.
Rafinha is a starter on.
Yeah, he's been linked with Newcastle
club.
now because that makes sense. Him and Gordon are amazing. There would be an amazing wing pair.
He has Premier League experience. I think that's a perfect. My thing is, I almost fell into the trap listening to you so much, and I respect you as someone who knows about the game. But then I went to Twitter, which is not the correct place to then find
you
educated.
vouched Twitter over me?
I'm just like, there was enough where it's like, people were like, do not let Arsenal fans continue to gaslight you into thinking that Kai Havertz is a good striker because he does other things outside. Like, Havertz is not good.
Hold on. In 14 games at center forward, he had 9 goals and 7 assists. That's a great return.
In the Euros, he missed the most amount of chances in the entire tournament.
But that's not why Germany went out.
It could be a portion. If he's
But it's not, though.
Why?
Why? Because that's not why they lost to Spain.
Why? If he scores one of his chances, why is it not?
They went to extra time and lost to a header because they didn't miss.
I understand, but
he didn't miss any chances in extra time.
Oh, okay, but what about earlier in the game? If they didn't
but you're just changing. What if?
No, because that's
what if Unai Simon kicked the ball in his own net?
That's not the same thing. He had clear-cut chances in that game to make it so they didn't have to go to extra time.
Okay, Musiala had a terrible game in that game. Is it his fault that they got knocked out of the Euros?
I mean, you're just deflecting.
I'm just saying, no, I'm not deflecting.
You're deflecting the fact
every
that Havertz
striker
is not
misses
good.
big chances. That's
not
a
at
silly
the rate that he does.
Yes, at the rate that he does, at a higher rate.
He had the most missed chances at the Euros.
In one tournament in a 10-game sample size, not even 6 games.
Yeah.
So we're going to judge players off 6 games.
So we're going to throw the Euros out. We can't judge anyone off of their performance at the Euros.
First of all, I wouldn't judge any club player based off of their performance at the Euros.
We go back to limping off the field and being a non-threat in the run-in and in the Champions League.
The limping off the field was crazy. That was crazy.
If we're going to throw out how good he was at the Euros, which I'm fine with.
I never said a word about Saka.
No, I know, but that's what
you said. Saka at the Euros.
100%.
I didn't say Saka.
I'm not saying you did. Okay. Let's just throw that out and go back to our latest thoughts of Saka, which
when he scored against Bayern Munich in the quarterfinal, match,
being a non-threat in the Champions League and limping off in big matches.
Did it cost when he didn't play us in the final match that we won easily, and that's not why we didn't win the title?
Well, you didn't win the title because he went invisible in big matches earlier in the season.
Earlier in the season, that's a crazy take.
Why?
Invisible matches earlier in the season?
Not early at the start. I'm saying earlier than that match. Like matches throughout the season. Anyways.
That's so wild.
I have Man City, Arsenal. You have Arsenal, City, right?
Yes,
City second?
City second.
Then we both agree there is a massive tier break.
I mean, I genuinely think like it'll be over 10 points between I think the two of them are going to be around 90 and everyone else, like 3 through 8 is going to be like 80 to 67 points.
Sure.
Like that's going to be the same.
Who do you have in third?
I have Liverpool in third.
Same.
I don't feel great about it because number one, they haven't made any signings. They could still lose. Like there's a chance that Salah goes to Saudi still. Yeah, there's a very high chance. I was talking with somebody who knows what's going on.
No, there's not. A very high chance. What would you put the percentage at?
45%.
Okay, so it's almost close to even odds. I'll give you plus 200. I will bet you right now that Salah doesn't leave. If you truly believe
You'll give me
that.
plus 200?
That's around 40%.
Yeah, I'll take those odds.
Okay. 100 to win 200?
Not
50
100.
to win 100?
25.
50.
Well, are you going to pay me for Arsenal?
50 to win 100. That Salah doesn't leave. Sure. All right, deal.
This summer.
Yeah,
okay.
Summer.
Okay, I think he could leave. Man, I could still theoretically leave. Allison could I'm saying of them 3, one of them I think will leave.
I disagree.
Trent still hasn't signed a new contract.
Yeah, Trent, I agree with.
They just haven't done anything. It's very quiet. They haven't brought anyone in I still have them third because on paper they're probably the third best team in the league.
I actually think,
and they've looked great in preseason.
Not bringing anyone in and not losing anyone isn't the worst thing. Gakpo had a brilliant Euros. I mean, we're throwing summer tournaments out apparently, but
we're not throwing them out.
Gakpo had a brilliant.
Judging if a player is good enough.
Gakpo had a brilliant Euros. Nunez had a very solid Copa. Like they had a lot of people perform well.
And they also have players like Harvey Elliott. It's going to be better. He's 100%. 20 years old now. He's going to be better this year.
We'll wait to see. But again, a young player who in theory should improve. Like they have a lot of good players. They still have Konate, Van Dijk, Robertson, Trent, Allison. Like that's a great back five.
I 100% agree.
I think we're in full
I think they'll be
agreement.
inconsistent, but I think they'll be the third best team.
It'll be some changeover, and they'll lose some matches they probably shouldn't. And they won't look the same because it's not Klopp, but I still think they are the third best.
I mean, I think their midfield is going to call the same way. It's going to turn into basketball meets again.
Yeah.
And when that happens, you can't really control games.
You know, like Klopp, he rotated well and like there was competition, but I think you almost reinvigorate the squad who's been there for so long. Like everyone's spot is up for grabs under a new manager.
For
and
sure.
That could be a great thing for them.
I mean, they desperately need a 6. I don't think Endo can play 38 games at the 6 for them and then be in third place.
McAllister has continuously, like against the lower sides, I was off that entirely where I was like, he cannot play that role. I'm stepping back. Against lower sides, I think he can play the 6.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like Argentina,
but not to the level of being a disruptor.
Copa, he was a lot of the times
it's
the
just
deepest
very
line
different.
midfielder. It is.
Like they go up against West Ham, Fulham, Crystal Palace, Brighton, even Everton with him at the 6. Teams that know how to play on the counter and stuff. I think they're going to struggle.
All right.
But yeah, I mean, I think they'll come in third, even with or without Salah. I think they come in third.
All right. So we were in agreement for the most part of the top 3, just obviously changing the title winners. This is where things get extremely interesting. I had so much fun doing this.
Me too.
So I'll let you take it. Who do you have in 4th?
I have Tottenham in 4th, and I think I didn't want to put them there so badly, but I kept looking at the teams below them, and I was like...
By the way, as a Tottenham fan, I couldn't agree more. I wanted to come and be like, we're not there yet. But then I kept looking, and it's like, neither is anyone else. We might be the best of that group.
Here's my thing with Tottenham.
By the way, I had another tier break after Liverpool. I had 2 tier breaks.
I almost did, but I think like a brand new team, a manager hasn't gotten to bring in any players that like are completely new. Like that to me is shocking.
Such a good squad.
I know, but like you don't see a manager come in and not bring anyone that fixed their identity. He's trying to bring his identity, and now with a bunch of new players.
I'm surprised that he hasn't.
100% surprised. But yeah, it's the same thing I've been saying about Tottenham when I said it about them the entirety of last year. They will go at the bottom half of the table teams, and they will dominate them and score a lot of goals and suffocate them.
Yeah.
It will be enough this season to get them top 4 because I don't think that there is that much competition in terms of like very great teams. Like if Tottenham get 71, 72 points, that probably gets them 4th place.
Yeah.
Whereas that doesn't always seem to be the case.
So my thoughts are, I believe in Ange. I believe the mentality that he's drilling into this team, you get a second year under him, that obviously helps. We didn't fix the front 3, which I think is an issue, but we fixed the midfield, which is extremely important. Archie Gray is a great signing. Bergvall, unfortunately, with us doing preseason to Asia, I haven't gotten to watch a ton of preseason matches, but everything
That's what you get for being in Asia.
Yeah, everything I've been seeing from Bergvall is that he's the real deal. So we fixed the midfield. The depth between Basuma, Bentancur, Bergvall, Sarr, like the midfield is Gray. The midfield is good. And that was a big problem last year is sometimes Basuma's not good enough. Højbjerg's not good enough. Skip's not good enough. And they were finding their way into the midfield. That will never happen. And I think touching on the fact that we're in Europa League, I think we have midfield depth to where that won't affect us. And then the final thing is we haven't brought in yet, but it looks like Solanke's coming in and Richarlison's going out. I personally think Richarlison's a better striker than Dominic Solanke. And if we were talking about bringing in Solanke and not getting rid of Richarlison, and it's like, why are we bringing in a similar striker, spending 60 mil when we could spend that on a winger, which we desperately need? Since it's virtually a 1-for-1, 60 and 60 mil, I don't really care. But I'd love to keep Richarlison and go get Eze or Pedro Neto. We've been fucking rumored with them the entire summer. Yeah. And it's just frustrating. But yes, I agree. I think we will have enough now that we have fixed the midfield to finish top 4.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think you'll get top 4. I think it'll be hard to. I don't think it'll be consistent. I think it'll be stretches of you win 6 in a row and then you lose a couple here and there. Especially because your midfield, as good as it's getting, it's still very young. Like your best 3 midfielders are all incredibly young.
Younger, yeah.
So that to me will probably spell some issues with keeping control of games. I think you're going to find it really tough to play against Arsenal, City, Liverpool,
but
even Newcastle.
Enough, we actually did perform pretty well against the.
Well, Liverpool was kind of like a bizarre thing that happened. The Arsenal match was also a little bizarre. The first one,
but like it, whatever it is, it always seems to be bizarre.
No. I understand. It's not like you didn't go to those teams and beat them the way or play them the way you're playing against other teams. I mean, the biggest issue for you will be if Van de Ven, Udogie, or Pedro Porro get hurt. I don't know how you. There's not another back.
Well,
Dragusin I like.
Dragusin's very good. It's our wing back depth is atrocious,
which is so crucial to the way you play.
Correct.
So I think that's
it's an interesting thing not to have backup for. I completely.
But Udogie theoretically is going to be even better this year than last year. I'm a big fan. Yeah. I think Porro was at his best last year.
No, the back 4 healthy is amazing. It's just the thing is Van de Ven has played a lot of left back with the Dutch side and played left back for us. So if that comes to it where Udogie goes out,
for sure,
we can play Dragusin through the middle.
Hurts to have your best center back play out at left back
100%,
as well.
Yeah.
And then last but not least for Tottenham's defending set pieces. If you don't defend set pieces, you will not come in fourth because you will lose to lower end teams who are great off set pieces.
It was almost the death of me last year. I'm just in theory. I'm thinking.
Did you guys sign a set piece coach?
I don't know.
Okay,
I haven't seen it.
All right, 5th.
Yeah, I have Newcastle United.
Love it. It's not who I have, but I love it.
They got hit with the injury bug pretty bad last year.
Big time.
Which regression to the mean, we assume will fix itself. Which will fix itself. The squad on paper is obviously great. They haven't, with PSR, they haven't been able to do the amount of business that they did last year.
But they're still linked to some. Gahey looks like he's 100% coming in.
Really?
Looks like that's going to happen.
See that.
60 million euros. Yeah.
And with Man United winning the FA Cup, they got booted out of European football. With them full focus with the squad, they kind of built a squad to compete in the Champions League last year and the Premier League.
Yeah, I mean, if they didn't get that crappy penalty against PSG, they would have made the knockout rounds.
So now that they have a squad that's built for the Champions League, but only in the Premier League, I think they're going to be very good. I thought it was a foregone conclusion that they were going to lose Isak or Bruno Guimaraes with no Champions League football. It looks like both of them are going to stay. And this team, you don't think so?
I think it gets towards the end of this window, and if they really do spend a little bit more money, it's going to be hard to keep Bruno Guimaraes for 2 reasons. PSR, number 1, and number 2, I think Man City come back calling, and they offer $80 million towards the end of the window.
That would go well for my first prediction.
Well, right, that's the issue with this whole thing, right? If they get Guimaraes, then it's probably a different
to revisit it, but I think it's also fun to do it beforehand.
No, for sure. And and it's not going to change that much.
So, no. I think you're overestimating, actually, the amount of deals that are going to happen.
I don't think I'm overestimating, but I do think there are going to be 5 or so pretty massive, groundbreaking deals done between now and the end of the window.
I'm excited because I've been bored out of my mind.
I mean, there's just no way. Like, these teams are... Like, I went... When I was doing this, I was like, there's been no sign other than West Ham. Like,
by the way, that was my biggest takeaway that I meant to start the entire show with, is like, I look forward and try and predict what happened. I look to last year, what happened, and with the squads that are currently there, it's like, what's to say a lot of things are going to change based off of when everyone has the exact same squad. So then I looked at Newcastle. They have a great team. No one around them got better. I think with no European football, 5th is a good place for them.
Yeah, so I have Manchester United 5th. I know that's crazy.
That sounds insane to me.
I know that's crazy. I think they're still doing a little bit of business. I'm a huge Ten Hag hater. And by the way, 5th, after all the money they spent, not good enough. Not anything but Champions League football is a complete embarrassment for Manchester United.
Okay.
But if they didn't have a left back once last year, let's assume Luke Shaw plays some games. They missed Lisandro Martinez the entirety of last year, pretty much. Let's say he plays a bunch of games.
Most overrated center back in the world.
Agreed, but he works for Ten Hag. He works in that system. I don't think he works as a center back in many other systems. I would prefer him at left back. Obviously, they brought in Lenny Yoro, but now he's out 3 months.
And then you get thrown into the Premier League as, what is he, 18 years old?
For sure. I think
Maguire
Maguire is plenty good to play at that right center back spot until Yoro's back. But they're going to probably get to or Branthwaite in. So let's just wait on that. I think Dalot had a great second half of the year last year. Kobe Mainu is continuing to get better. Obviously the striker and forward situation. I just don't believe I'm buying the dip on Rashford. Like Rashford's a 15-plus goal.
Rashford, but what about the other two forward spots?
I mean, Højlund and Xerxes, you're going to get goals from the two of them. I don't know. I think that. By the way, I think the margins here between 5th and 7th are 3 points. I don't think we're talking about a whole lot. I think Manchester United.
This actually wasn't where I have Man United in my next tier break.
Good for you. I did not go that deep with it, but I just again like this. I am with my one caveat. Like I do believe they're going to bring 1 or 2 more people in. If they don't, I have them 8th. Yes. If they don't sell Casemiro and bring in a replacement, I have them 8th. I can't imagine that they're going to do that. That would be insane.
Okay, so
they can't trot Casemiro back out there. I can run as well as he did. You've seen me run.
2 different ways. I went under the assumption that for the most part, they are done. You went under the assumption that most of the teams are going to make 1 or 2 more marquee signings, which, as you're speaking about it, I would agree. I went at it I
don't think Tottenham make 1 or 2. I think they do Solanke or Richarlison leaves. I don't think that changes them a whole lot.
Agreed.
I think Liverpool lose a big player, gain a not as big player. I don't think City make many more moves, and I think 5th. Arsenal. Yeah, I have United 5th.
All right.
I think we have the same 6th.
My final spot before my tier break is 6th. Where I have Aston Villa.
Yeah, gotta be.
So usually in this, it's such an easy conversation. It's like a lower team can't spend as much, isn't built to then do the Champions League and the Premier League. They'll fall apart. Blah blah blah. They've done the best business by a landslide for me.
What they've done is insane.
11 players,
and also they've brought in incredibly good players who are already good and
Premier
young.
League experience.
Like Matson and Onana is incredible
Barkley,
business.
Illing Jr. Like they did such
and
good
Jaden Philogene is a special player. I don't know how much you've seen of him.
They lost Diaby, but he didn't play that big of a part.
Philogene will fill that role.
Douglas Luiz is the biggest loss by far.
Onana
is a like-for-like amazing. So I think they brought in the depth to compete in both competitions. I think there will be some natural regression. That's why I have them in 6th and not 4th, playing in both competitions and a little bit of turnover in the squad. But I think Villa is going to be right back in there, and that tier of Tottenham, Newcastle, Villa is my little tier break there.
Sure. Yeah, no, I mean, I agree
Villa
with
6th?
I have Villa 6th. The biggest thing to me is Unai Emery is a very, when they're on top, they're on top, and when they're not, they're not.
Yeah.
And now,
which is why 6th made more sense to me because of the
100% agree. And Champions League now, the group stage is not 6 games, it's 8 games. Yeah. And so they're going to have to play 8 European games. They have a couple of not so good games. Pair that in with a not so good Premier League game. And we're talking about them. They won, I think they won 15 games in a row at home last year. Like a lot of things went crazy. They beat Arsenal and City in back-to-back games 4 days apart.
They ended the season.
Right. Like I think they were on an absolute high and they still were barely 4th. Yep. What, 2 points, 1 point?
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't even think it's regression as much as this is a very competitive area, and from Liverpool, Tottenham, United, Villa, Newcastle, Chelsea, West Ham, I think a lot of those teams all see themselves as European football teams, and they're going to all be playing, those are going to be massive matches that are going to be happening constantly in the Premier League.
It could be the most open in different tiers that it's been in it.
And also, they're an Ollie Watkins injury away from being in serious. Because Duran's leaving.
They're selling Duran.
Yeah.
But by the way, now that Füllkrug's official...
No, they're still signing a second striker.
Who? West Ham?
West Ham, yeah. They're either signing Duran or Tammy Abraham. They were linked with this morning.
Wow, okay. I thought they were done.
Lopetegui is going in.
Lopetegui,
whatever the hell. I don't know how to pronounce Spanish names.
7th.
So I have Newcastle 7th.
Okay. So we flipped 5 and 7.
I'm very, very big on Newcastle, but I, for some reason, couldn't get them higher. I don't know why exactly.
Their squad... By the way, for some reason, this feels like Google ineptitude to the emptiest degree. I could not figure out when Tonali's coming back.
I think he's coming back in December or...
I spent 10 minutes searching.
No, for sure.
I just couldn't figure it out. I don't know how.
I think if they get Gahey in, that probably raises them up. But I just I couldn't find a way to get them higher. I don't know. I just thought Trippier kind of was last year.
Sure, but they have Livra.
Nick Pope was not nearly as good last year as the year prior. They leaked too many goals, but they can score with the best of them. I think if they all find their form, they're probably the 4th or 5th best team in the league. I think there's going to be a lot of rumors circling of Eddie Howe taking the England job throughout the entire year.
So that was my thing with Newcastle.
I just think it's going to be a lot going on.
It's an Eddie Howe make or break year. So I think he's truly going to go for it, because then if it's not working, he's just going to go and take the England.
For sure. No. I mean, again, my tier is basically 3rd through 8th.
Yeah.
And I think
had them a little
I see Newcastle finishing within 7 points of Liverpool, and we're in 3rd. Okay. So I don't think this is a huge difference.
Yeah, I had Man United 7th. I think they addressed problems at the center back and striker position. But for me, those were problem 3 and 4, and they didn't or haven't addressed 1 and 2, which for me is they need, whether it was getting the guy at left wing, which probably wasn't the answer, but I was saying either winger. But between Garnacho and Rashford, they're fine. They didn't replace the right winger, and they didn't replace the 6. The 6 is the biggest issue.
No, the 6 is an issue.
Bruno Fernandes, the way he plays, he's great, but he leaves you stranded. And he's
not a midfielder's midfielder.
If you don't have a 6, that midfield is going to get run over the same way it did last year. They didn't get a CDM. They didn't get a right winger. And it's for me, how are those not... Bringing in Xerxes and bringing Euro, good signings, but how do you not address this? The 6 should have been...
Here's the issue, where do you want them to go to get the 6? Who?
I mean, they're trying to get Ugarte.
They pretty much just pulled out yesterday of the Ugarte race, saying it's too much, which I think finally Manchester United's making a good...
Right.
60 million euros plus add-ons is too much for Ugarte. He was terrible last year.
So for me, you don't fix the 6 position where their midfield is going to get run over the entire time.
Is there a chance Jadon Sancho's playing right wing for them this year?
That I'm fine with, but we both agreed that it was smoke and mirrors to get him out.
I agree.
So,
but there's no links on him going anywhere.
And then they have Europa League on top of that, where... I don't think that's a big issue, because we saw the Europa League. It's not that many good, so you can play kids to start. But
they have a really good academy group right now too.
No, they have good people, but they don't have midfield depth.
No.
To where if Casemiro is forced to play one Europa League match, they're fucked.
I mean, I'll be shocked if he's not sold.
It's insane.
He cannot move,
and they're selling McTominay.
Yeah.
So, where's the midfield depth?
That's why I'm assuming they're selling Casemiro and McTominay.
I agree.
It's not even an assumption. They literally have to.
Yeah, no, I agree.
And they already said they're not signing Emrabat on have the buy option. They actually have to sign him.
No, I'm with you. It hasn't happened yet, and until it does, I have them in 7th.
I think that's fair. I think they could finish 9th. I wouldn't be shocked.
They haven't done enough to how bad they were last year make me think that they're going to be any, because Xerxes not going to take the league by storm.
No.
And Euro,
he's probably not even going to start game week 1.
And Euro, he has to now because of Højlund's injury. But
what happened to Højlund?
He hamstring. He's out 6 weeks.
I did not see that.
Yeah. It happened in the same game when Euro got injured.
I saw he got injured. I just didn't know that the diagnosis had
6
come
weeks,
down.
and then Euro's 3 months. And then, Euro, again, Xerxes not going to hit the ground running, and Euro, young defender, going to step right into the most magnifying position and place, and it just seems like it's going to be another tough season for United. They still have Ten Hag, which we both agree is a problem.
For sure. 8th. I have a feeling we're the same team 8th.
I have a feeling we don't.
Chelsea?
Brighton.
You don't have Chelsea in the top 8?
No.
Wow.
By the way, I think
it's going to get interesting from here to 20.
Me too. I don't think... Well, I'll touch on Brighton first.
I want to hear your Brighton in 8th, how they're finishing above some of the teams I have. I'm excited
Fabian
to hear this.
Hurstler, for me,
USA born, baby.
Old, I feel like he's the Mike McDaniel, Shanahan, McVay era of the NFL coming to the Premier League.
Okay.
He's coming with just brand new ideas, young, energetic, and they've been cooking in preseason. Now, it's not results, it's performances and the way they've looked.
No, they've been cooking.
Not that I've watched Brighton, but the things I've listened to, actually informed people, not Twitter, are saying they look absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, no, I've watched them.
And they're playing teams in the Asian League who are in their mid-season. It's not like they're playing preseason for preseason. But they're worse.
I watched a couple of the matches because Arsenal Academy players went there permanently, and the defending is shocking.
But they're Cozy or Dubry, is that who you're talking about? He's cooking. Weaver's a good signing, and Minta's also cooking.
Weaver's a great signing, and Minta, honestly, I'm not going to go and say I knew anything about who this is.
Me either.
But
he's brilliant.
He's pretty good.
And then you have Ferguson and Ciso, João Pedro, Undine Gara, Matoma, and their attacking options are
insane. I'm worried about the defense. I'm worried that they lost Pascal Gross, who was the heart and soul of that team for 5 years.
If they want to bring in this youth injection. It's going to take time, which is why I only have them in 8th and not in like 4th, where they'll be inconsistent. But I think they are going to take the league by storm this year.
I'll get to more Brighton stuff when we get to the number I have them at.
Yeah.
And why I think I have them at the number I have them. I respect everything you said. I think in an optimistic, perfect world, if I'm a Brighton fan, I'm like, yes, we can probably challenge for 7th place, maybe get 8th. But let's just leave it at that for now. I do agree they made a lot of great signings. I'm very excited by the coach. I think that's really cool that he's 31, USA born, got St. Pauli promoted, which is a huge deal. I don't know if you know, there's a massive St. Pauli bar in Prospect Park that apparently gets nuts.
I don't even know what St. Pauli is.
It's a Bundesliga 2 team. He got them promoted to the Bundesliga.
All right, let's move to Chelsea because you have them 8th and then I have them 9th.
All right, yeah, I have Chelsea 8th. I mean, if Pochettino was still there, they're probably in 4th on my list, maybe 3rd.
It's fucking insane.
But, I mean, they've been horrific in
Horrendous.
unwatchable.
Again, not results-based, performance-based. They've been awful.
I was reading a lot about Maresca, and basically, like, after the first 6 months of last year, him and Leicester basically limped their way to the finish line. All they can do is score. I don't think he's going to switch his back line around every week, which will be a disaster for this squad.
Did you see Badiashiel's effort when, oh my
Embarrassing.
God.
Colwill was awful in that match as well. I think Reece James, we know we can't count on him.
He also doesn't look good.
Well, I mean, how could he? He barely plays.
Yeah.
He plays every 2 years.
Like, in theory, in past, every time he's come back, it's like, all right, it's Reece James. And
I mean,
he's fit, he's good.
If he could play a full season, he will be the best right back in the world, but he just can't do it.
Yeah.
I think this is going to be the Chelsea we kind of saw last year. Where it's like, on pure talent, they're going to win games, they're going to score
That's
goals.
why I have them 9th, because in theory, if they didn't have such a talented squad, I have them as a bottom half club.
Yeah, I mean, I think the way that they're being managed, I mean, Todd Bowley is putting on a masterclass on what not to do when you buy a club. It's unbelievable.
And it's an awful look for us as
Americans. I mean, they all hate American owners to begin with. But yeah, no, Chelsea 8th is a lock to me. I can't imagine they make European football.
No, I have them. Maresca, I think, is lost.
Also, think about all these young players. They bought all these guys under 24 years old who are barely playing. They're inconsistent. They're not already all established players to begin with.
For me, I think Pochettino's best trait as a coach is coaching young players.
100% agree.
You lose that. The center backs and goalkeeper situation is a mess. So that core 3 is a mess. And then you have Enzo.
Well, they only have 8 senior goalkeepers, so it's going to...
Right, yeah. You have Enzo, who obviously caused some issues. It seems like they've gotten through that, but that's in the... They didn't sign a striker. We know Nicholas Jackson's not the answer.
They are signing a striker. They're signing Samu Omorodion from La Liga.
Doesn't move the needle for me.
He's like
they'll struggle to find the right places for the combination of Palmer and Nkuku, Madueke, Mudryk, whatever it is. And I know it's preseason, but you cannot ignore the way they look right now. And will they figure it out eventually? Maybe. I don't. But they could be in a position to where it's too far gone to where the best they can get to is 9th. Because they'll be in 13th place.
And also, they have 5 really talented young midfielders who are 6s. Like, I don't understand what the plan is. Like, that's my biggest issue with them is, like, even if Pochettino was still there, I'd kind of be like, what is the plan? Like, what are you doing with all these players? Yeah. By the way, they have all these players. They haven't even really addressed left back because Caleb Wiley they signed. They're sending him out on loan. Cucurella is pretty much their only left back. Yeah. And Chilwell, like, we've seen how inconsistent the two of them are. They're not even addressing the issues. So, yeah. I don't see them finishing very high.
Yeah, so I almost wanted to put them further down, but then again, it got to the point where it's like, look at the talent on paper, they'll get enough.
100%. All right, 9th, I have West Ham. I love the business that they've done. I think it's incredible. Somerville, to me, is the Jared Bowen signing, but on the other side, like, this is a player who tore it up in the championship, clearly showed he is of the level, and it's not just, like, nice skills on the ball. He knows how to play and use his body, and he's going to get you goals and assists. Like, he is just a mastermind at doing that. Love Somerville. Füllkrug, not sold on that being smart business. Obviously, he's done it at a high level.
But I think it's a good, if you take away price tags, which we have this conversation, not our money, don't care.
For sure.
But it does affect how you do
at a
business
West Ham,
elsewhere.
I think money matters a little more.
But in a vacuum, no price, I think Füllkrug is a good, experienced signing in like a replacement for Antonio.
Like, to me, this summer is like the Bale going to Madrid summer. They have all this Declan Rice money.
Yeah.
They finally are using it. They get Kilman in as well.
Yep.
They get Guilherme, who's a talented young player, in as well. And they might bring in Wan-Bissaka, who I think is perfect for a West Ham. So they do all those signings. Areola's solid as a goalkeeper. The midfield's a little shaky-ish. I'm not overly convinced by the midfield. They brought in Max Kilman, who's a very, he's got a lot of experience in the Premier League. I think they're a good team. Ninth, I think, is good for them. I think they'll be a hard match. They're not going to be super, super consistent. I think they'll draw a lot of matches, but...
Yeah, I have them 10th. I agree with everything you said. I think Somerville is one of the signings of the Premier League so far. I think Fulkrug, for me, you know how big a Fulkrug fan I am. How that translates to the Premier League, I think well enough in the way that West Ham will play. I think just through the three behind him are going to be Somerville, Kudus, and Bowen. Like, he'll get more than enough opportunities to where he's that, like, he's a poacher where I think he'll find 15 goals easy this summer if he's consistently starting. Like you said, there's question marks of the back line and the midfield with Edson Alvarez. He hurt himself at Copa, so who plays the 6 for them? But yeah, I had West Ham 10th. I think that front four is like extremely talented for a team that could potentially finish in the bottom half of the Premier League. So I think 10th is a good place.
Sure. I have Fulham 10th. I love Marco Silva. I love everything Fulham have done in the last 2 years since they came back up. Bringing in Smith Rowe to me is a massive game changer. I mean, this is a player who's, when healthy, is going to score 15 goals for them this year off the left. I know it. João Pedro. Rodrigo Muniz came in and was incredible in the last 15 matches of the year, scoring 9 goals. They brought in Quensa, I think is how you pronounce his name, from Villarreal, left center back. Good ball-playing center back. Perfect fill-in for Tim Ream, who unfortunately just left for Charlotte. Sessegnon, like bringing him back home, vibes player. Sure. Don't think he'll play left back. Think he'll play a lot out on the wing as well.
But yeah.
Nah, good player. When he's healthy, good player. Good player when he's healthy.
Player, promise.
Obviously, losing João Palhinha is brutal.
Huge.
And Adarabioyo is also not a great loss for them. But Marco Silva ball is fun to watch. They're good when they're at their best. And I think 10th is... I expect a lot from this year. Like, I wanted to put them higher. If West Ham had made all the signings they had made, I would probably have them 9th. But I'm big on Fulham this year. Okay. And they're maybe getting McTominay. So I like that.
So that's our top 10. I feel like we were on relatively the same page on a lot of them.
I'm surprised you didn't have Crystal Palace in the top 10. I know you're big on Crystal Palace.
I love Crystal Palace, so that leads me straight to 11th. But that is where I had my next tier break, is between West Ham and Palace. So after 10th was a clear tier break for me, and I had Palace. Obviously, Glasner came in, took the league by storm, similar to how I think the Brighton manager will do so. Mateta is cooking in the Olympics.
Playing against a bunch of kids, but yes.
Which should be great. Like, confident, as we
100%.
talked about, confidence is
considering
confidence
how good he was
what.
at the end of last year, yeah.
The only problem for me is they lost Olise, who is fucking fantastic.
Talk about cooking in the Olympics.
The amount of money I have on Bayern to win the Bundesliga and Champions League, not parlayed, but separately, is disgusting.
I'm worried. Way too much.
And there's a chance they lose Eze. If they lose Eze as well as Olise, I have to drop them down further.
If they lose Eze and Gahey, I'm dropping them down further.
Agreed. If they lose all those players,
I have them 11th.
Then they're just left with Wharton and Mateta, and it's like, what's like in theory, if they sell Olise, Gahey, and Eze, they'll net like almost 200
You would have to think they're going to make some.
They're going to bring people in, but still, with all those unknowns.
Well, I saw them linked with McCroy, the center back from Wolfsburg.
LaCroix.
Yeah, LaCroix.
Makes sense, LaCroix, yeah.
From Wolfsburg. They brought in Ismail Assar, who we've seen do it in the Premier League.
I saw that.
They brought in Daichi Kamada, who has a lot of experience.
Daichi is a good free transfer for depth, sure.
I think they have brought in enough to sort of replace the whole of Elise. And they lose Eze and Gahey. Obviously,
they need to drop further. Yes. I agree. So as of right now, I have them 11th with those caveats.
Me too. Which is crazy. That would mean they dropped a place from last year. They came in 10th.
Yeah. I mean, I don't love their incomings thus far as we talk about, but if their defense stays with a Munoz, Gahey, Anderson, like I think they have a solid back line core.
For sure.
Which is important.
I mean, Munoz became a world beater in the last 6 months. Literally, since he got into Crystal Palace, and then I kind of like picked up on who he was, and then this summer for Copa,
and which is the difference between a bunch of those teams that we just talked about, a Brighton, a Chelsea, a West Ham, where they have a lot of good attacking players, and maybe the midfield is a question mark, but the defense is probably the weakest spot. If Crystal Palace has like the best defense out of those, that could be a reason if they keep Eze, that they could rise up a little further than we both have them.
100%. 12th.
I have Bournemouth.
Dude, we're on the same page today, man.
I love that.
They brought an incredible player from Juventus. Hoyerson, the center back.
I saw, what was he, like 15, 20 mil?
Insane. Like the fact that bigger clubs weren't all over this kid. Incredible center back.
Yeah.
Like in 2 years, he will be at a top 4 club.
And I saw like Iraola, it's second year under him, similar to Ange. He seems to be a good manager. Every single year when he was in La Liga, he was
I kind of read that it was like a make or break year for him, and whereas like he will either be amazing, get Bournemouth maybe into Europe and stay, or like the Athletic Bilbao job will come calling and he'll just go take it. So that also raises the stakes.
They finished the last 3 months of the season extremely well, which to me is like the continuation of more time under the manager improve them. So just another season with another preseason should help. Then it's like Solanke, though. So I don't know if they lose Solanke. Like Solanke was fantastic for them. The only reason we're in for him, which I think is just not the right decision.
I mean, you have to imagine you selling it for $60 million because there's someone you want to go get for 20 and take the 40 profit.
Sure. But then again, it's like, is that guy you're bringing in for 20, is he, does that make up the difference? So that's a big question mark, but I think Bournemouth has the structure to finish.
I mean, they were so good at times last year.
Yeah.
So I think they're one of those teams where it's like they're going to put together one long enough string that will get them like away from the relegation zone, and then they're going to finish between 11th and 14th, and I think 12th is a good place for them.
So who'd you have?
So
you had 10th who?
10th Fulham, 11th Crystal Palace, 12th Bournemouth.
Where did you have West Ham?
9th.
Oh, right. You haven't had Brighton yet. Okay.
Brighton, I have 13th.
Okay.
So all the great things you said. I love the signing of Cozier Dewberry. I love the signing of Minte. I love the signing of Weaver. I think those are great signings. I love a young manager coming in, getting to implement what he wants on a bunch of new young players.
Yeah.
Ferguson, obviously an incredible striker, like so much young talent. But the same, we're talking about a 31-year-old manager who's never coached in the Premier League.
Yeah, no,
you lost your captain in Pascal Gross. I think they're either going to get out of the gates ridiculously fast, the way Tottenham did with Ange, and then
people will figure it.
Or it's going to take them some time. I just think it's going to be hard for them to, like, if they do get out of the gates fast, like, just be that good all year. I think 13th is a really solid place for them. I think they'll see that as a good season under this manager, as long as they're playing good attacking football.
Yeah.
And
I definitely could be buying into the juice too much.
Like, to me, this seems like
Brighton,
very like a career mode summer for them.
Sure.
That's
fair.
Sometimes that doesn't work.
The only reason I'm thinking otherwise is because of how well they're performing in France. But once again, you have to take them all.
Cozier Dewberry's never played senior football.
Yeah.
Minte has never played in a league this good.
Yeah.
Like, I just think let's give them some time.
No, so I have Fulham in 13th.
Totally
I think
fair.
Emile Smith-Rowe, great signing. We both agree Muniz is a fantastic striker. The way he was scoring goals,
ridiculous.
You could just tell he's a
and it wasn't
finisher.
tap-ins. I mean, this guy was scoring ridiculous.
He's a
His
finisher.
catalog's ridiculous.
But again, you lose Palhinha. You lose
Massive.
You lose
Adebayo.
And Ream.
Yeah.
So like I can't ignore them using. Like, Ream didn't play as much towards the end of the season, but
he's a
losing
lead,
two center backs who rotated, and then you're 6. You essentially lose the foundation of your entire team. I just don't think that can be overlooked. Palhinha, how Fulham held on to Palhinha for that long is beyond me. I thought he was great at the Euros.
Great signing for Bayern.
I think he's the best signing for Bayern. So just that, to me, is... I would have a similar impact with a Douglas Luiz leaving Villa if they didn't replace him with Onana. I think it's a similar situation, and there's no like-for-like replacement for Palhinha coming in.
No, for sure. I mean, they're going to be playing probably Harrison Reed and Tom Kearney, club captain, together. And
that's
a championship midfield.
Right?
It's a problem. It's a problem. All right. 14. Well, the first 13, we have the same 13 teams.
Yeah.
14th, I have Everton.
Okay.
I'm a huge Sean Dyche lover. Really wanted to put Everton higher. I think without a striker who I trust to be scoring goals for them. I know they brought in Ndiaye, who was pretty awful for Marseille last year, although great for Sheffield United the year prior in the championship.
Okay.
Lindstrom from Napoli is a good signing. O'Brien is a great signing. If assuming Branthwaite leaves, he's going to play a lot.
Expensive, wasn't he?
Yeah, very expensive.
That, yeah.
Good player though.
Yeah.
Scored in the preseason for them already from center back. Losing Onana and Branthwaite. I mean, assuming they lose Branthwaite, which I think is going to happen. They need the money to finish the stadium. That's supposed to open next year, so I kind of think they're going to sell him. That's massive. But Pickford's in probably the best form of his career, kind of crazily.
No, he was at the end of last year.
And Sean Dyche, to me, is probably the most underrated manager in the world. So I just think they'll get, they won't concede very much. They'll probably concede the fewest amount of goals at the bottom half of the table, and that will get them as high as 14th.
Sure. All right. I have Brentford 14th. I think a lot of similarities to your description. I think Thomas Frank is a really good manager. It looks like Ivan Toney somehow is staying.
And they're going to lose him for free, which is crazy.
Crazy, but he's going to stay. And
Mbuemo is great.
Yeah, and it's like Toney, he does seem like the kind of guy, but I just don't anticipate him like throwing a fit. Like if he knows he's at Brentford for the year, I think he's going to like give it his all and play well and do that. So you have the best striker in this tier group by a landslide, which is going to get you 15 to 20 goals. And then they have this massive Danish core with like 5 or 6 players who will start or be rotational players that I think just provide a lot of stability to this Brentford side under Thomas
and
Frank.
they brought in Igor Thiago, who's had almost 30 goals all comps last year. I mean, he's out till 2025. I think they brought him in as a Toney replacement, but that's, I guess, not happening because of injury and not selling.
Yeah.
They're linked with Cajuste, who was okay last year in Serie A. He was pretty good for Reims 2 years prior under Will Still. I like Thomas Frank a lot. I think this team's just continuously gotten worse. So I actually have Brentford 17th, but
Wow. All right. So 15th,
let's go
I have
15.
Everton.
Okay.
Pretty much everything you said. Sean Dyche is a great manager. Onana is a massive loss. Like, I don't think people fully understand just how good he is.
I agree with that.
So I didn't have much more on Everton because at this point we're in like these.
Yeah, I
don't think they'll be in relegation contention.
That's what I think this tier is, 14th to 17th.
They'll push for top 10, so it's kind of like Everton will be safe but not do anything good. So
yes, I got Wolves 15. I think Gary O'Brien's good manager, good enough. Gary O'Neill, sorry.
Yep.
Gary O'Neill is a good enough manager and had great stints both with Bournemouth and with Wolves last year. But just nothing too exciting about this side. They may lose Neto. They may do this. They may do that. It's a little unclear what's going on. I think they'll be safe, but nothing exciting. I think they're going to be one of those teams who they know by February they're safe, and then you kind of see a big slip in their ability to play because they know they don't need to do too much.
Yeah, so that was your 15th.
Yeah.
16th, which is the final in this tier of going to be safe but not do anything more. I had Nottingham Forest, actually, who I know a lot of people are touting to go down.
I got them going down. So you have 15th Everton, 16th Nottingham Forest.
Yes.
Okay. I got Ipswich Town 16th.
Really? Okay, so Morgan Gibbs-White, I think, is a fantastic player.
Huge fan.
And then I agree with your tweet and didn't even process that Nwoni is a great striker.
I'm a big fan.
I don't know how you have Morgan Gibbs-White, Nwoni, however you say his name, Hudson-Odoi, and Elanga. That seems like too much talent.
Yeah, but what's going on otherwise?
Agreed.
You don't stay up in the Premier, but you don't stay up in the Premier League by scoring goals.
I agree. I just think experience-wise, they've fought relegation.
Multiple years.
They have these guys. Have they brought in enough to? Because usually when it comes to they've fought relegation, they didn't bring anyone in, and then eventually you just go down because you can't do it that many years.
They spent £40 million on Elliot Anderson this summer, which seems insane to me.
Insane. But he's going to be an everyday So
then they brought Milenkovic in from Fiorentina, the center back. So they're trying.
Yeah. So I had Forest in 16th.
I had Ipswich down to 16th. Massive fan of McKenna. I really thought Manchester United was going to sign him as their manager this summer, and then I would say Ipswich is going to go straight down. I think he's just such a good manager. What he's done the last few years to go from League One to the Premier League is very, very rare. They play some ridiculous attacking football. They kept Amari Hutchinson, who is a huge, huge prospect for the last few years, and now playing in the Premier League on a weekly basis. Liam Delap from City. they're counting a lot on big academy talents becoming huge players in the Premier League, but I think they score enough goals to stay. I am using my own theory against me. I do think they score enough goals to stay up.
Okay.
But
that's kind of how I feel about Forest, but that's like
they may suffer a little bit from the Burnley thing where like they think they can just go out and play and like they can't.
That's my note.
So like they could come in 19th for sure, but I felt like one team had to stay up, and I think they're the only one that stays up of the 3 promoted teams, so I have them 16th.
Okay, so my only team staying up from the newly promoted teams is Leicester City.
At 17th.
Yes.
Okay.
So
I have Brentford 17th.
So that is where my tier break is obviously Leicester City are going to be in the relegation race, but I have them staying just out. My thing with them is losing Maresca is the article that I think we both read. I agree with what they said was maybe the best thing for him because the way he plays football and the reason I'm so bullish on Bayern is because in company set up with the right players, I think it succeeds. It didn't succeed him trying to play that football with Burnley. I think Leicester City, if they tried to play that football with Maresca, a similar Burnley company situation would have happened. They lost him and brought in a manager who apparently plays very well in transition, which I think will be huge for a team fighting relegation.
Steve Cooper is the Leicester City manager.
What?
Steve Cooper is the Leicester City manager.
Oh, really? Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
The only real loss was Shrewsbury Hall, and when I was going through their squad, they just have so many experienced Premier League players, which you don't see a lot from other newly promoted teams.
I mean, Iheanacho left on a free as well.
Yeah. Are they great? No, but are they experienced? Yes, which does serve more than we may think. So I have Leicester in 17th.
I had Brentford 17th. Already kind of spoke on that. I just think they'll barely stay alive, but I think Thomas Frank's a good enough manager to keep them up. I have Leicester 18th, relegated. I agree with a lot of the things you said. I think they'll be fine. I think they'll be a tough opponent at times. They're going to get a points deduction, so I think they're not going to be able to stay up with that.
They're getting a points deduction?
Probably, yeah, for violating PSR rules. I mean, it hasn't been announced yet, but somewhere between 6 and 12 points, and I think that'll be too much to overcome. Yeah.
Okay, I did not know that. That's a pretty big...
So, I was probably thinking about having them 16th, 17th, and then I was like, even if they don't get the points deduction,
that they
just violated rules.
Yeah, okay.
You
don't work for them.
I don't know exactly the PSR rules. Yeah. I mean, you have to have some sort of, you can only have an 100 million net loss a year over 3 years. Right. And I think they're a little bit over it.
Okay.
They may not get it, but I think it's going to be looming all year, and I think it's going to play a role. So I have them 18th. I like the fact that they brought back Fatawu permanently, and 19 goal contributions for them in the championship. I love Steffi Mavididi. Hail End product, always a fan. But I just don't think they've got enough to stay up.
I had Wolves in 18th as my first relegation favorite. They're going to lose Pedro Neto. And then I was looking through the squad, and top to bottom, it just screams to me like a relegation team. Like, if you lose
I think if they had a different manager, I would agree. I really do like Gary O'Neill. So.
Yeah. No, Gary O'Neill is good. And when you are in the relegation fight, a manager... either at the top or at the bottom, the manager can be the most important thing. I was just like Hwang, and I top to bottom, I was like, this team is not good enough if Pedro Neto leaves. In theory, you get 67 mil, they'll bring someone in to replace that. In theory.
But I think you see sometimes with teams like this who are probably on the line, you prepare to go down.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's kind of how I was feeling. We're linked to Pedro Neto. I don't think it's going to happen. And then Man City is coming in. I could definitely see that happening if they just Pedro Neto.
Everybody's been linked with Pedro Neto.
So that's where I'm at with Wolves as my first relegation favorite.
All right, 19th. I got Nottingham Forest. I think it's time for them to go down. I think they had the wrong theory when they came up.
Yeah,
signing 23 players. They've suffered ever since, and I think it'll just be too much for Nuno to handle. I think we've seen with Nuno, he was great at Wolves his first year, and then and I think that we're going to see a bit of a decline with Nuno. I think we're going to get to this later, but Nuno is my first manager to be sacked in the Premier League this year, and then from there, they're going to go through somehow Sam Allardyce comes out of retirement, Roy Hodgson, they'll go through all the old guys who know how to keep teams up, and they won't stay up. So that's my feeling with them.
In 19th, I have Southampton. They just don't have a ton of Premier League experience. I kind of am under the theory 3 come up, 2 must go down. And I have Leicester City staying, so I have Southampton in 19th.
All right, well, I have Southampton 20th, which means you have Ipswich Town in 20th.
Correct.
I liked them signing Hardwood Bellis and Flynn Downs. Bazunu's out for a while, so they don't really have a goalkeeper that we can trust. I think there's a lot of really young talent, like Edozie, who is also a City Academy project, and I mean a whole host of other young players. But like you look at their squad and the average age is like 22 and a half.
And it's like, how is that?
Like, how are they going to stay up? Like, when the going gets tough and they go play Newcastle on a Friday night in the rainy St. James Park, they're going to get their ass kicked.
This is the problem.
It's a bunch of little boys.
This is the problem with the Premier League is the way we were talking about 8 through 14, like these relegation sides.
I think it's going to be really tough.
Can't compete with them.
I think it's going to be really tough. Yeah. And I think Russell Martin is known to be a really good manager in the Championship. I think he's going to struggle in the Premier League. So that's why I have them 20th.
Yeah, Southampton 19th, Ipswich Town 20th. As you said, it was the theory of everything I read about them is like they play such beautiful attacking football. Someone said they're going to break the record for most goals scored by a newly promoted side. And everything that said to me was, they're not going to be able to fucking compete if their way of winning is by scoring goals. They're not going to score enough goals, which means they're going to leak a ton, and I just think they're going to be very, very bad. If what I read is how they're going to try and implement it into the Premier League, I think they're going to get stomped.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's fair to say that there's a good chance all three of them go down. So, all right, that's our Premier League table 1 through 20 if you made it through it all. Yeah. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Let's see your tables, see who you have winning. Break out your tiers. I mean, I think the tiers are pretty clear. Like it's kind of 1, 2, 3 through 7, 8, 14, and then a bunch of kind of crap. Yeah. So let us know your thoughts on the table. Arsenal will win the Premier League. Come back to this. It's August 7th right now. On June 7th, Arsenal will have won the Premier League and potentially the Champions League. So let's be excited for that. All right, we're going to do a few more predictions now. Top scorer. Let's run through these. Top scorer.
Erling Haaland.
I got Isak.
What'd you put Newcastle in?
7th.
That wrong correlation.
Can't
happen.
If they come 7th.
That can't happen. He cannot be top goal scorer and then finish 7th. That's not possible. If he's the top goal scorer, 5th is their floor.
When Aubameyang was the top goal scorer, what place did we come in? 6th?
I don't know.
I think we came in 6th.
But who was behind him that year?
Him and Mane tied.
Right.
And Son.
There's too many. Those are 3 wingers. There's too many good strikers in the Premier
League. Aubameyang's not a winger.
No, I'm saying Mane and Son.
Oh.
I'm saying he was surrounded by wingers. I'm saying everyone at the top.
So, yeah, I got Isak as top scorer.
Yeah, that's wrong.
He had a goal every 108 minutes last year.
I think Isak is
21 goals.
Hence why I have Newcastle in 5th. To where I think
Haaland was the only player with more XG per 90 minutes than Isak.
Isak is amazing. I'm just saying they can't finish for your predictions.
Well, I'm buying a little bit of the slump on City. Arsenal's goals are going to be spread around. So there's the 2 out of the way.
Sure.
Salah leaves, there goes Liverpool. Who else is going to score more goals?
Dominic Solanke.
Yeah, exactly. Sure. I think there's a chance Isak could win Golden Boot. And you have Haaland, which is the free play.
Yeah, I just think like we saw a little
What
bit
odds will you give me on Isak scoring more goals than Haaland this year?
I assume that would be like between 200 and 300.
It'd be higher odds.
You think so?
That.
Yeah,
like 350, 400. Yeah.
You
want to give me odds on that or no?
We can talk offline about it.
All right, player of the year.
Haaland. I think it's a Haaland takeover.
Mr. Haaland ain't a top 5 striker in the world.
I think it's a Haaland takeover this year. I think you've seen it. You either have it or you don't. He didn't have it last year. Preseason is preseason. But what I've noticed with preseason is when these guys are in, they're trying their hardest. There's a lot of rotation and the results in the end don't matter. But watching the product of Haaland, he scored every preseason match. I saw him score twice live in person at Yankee Stadium. Not that that's the reason, but like he regressed a little. He's going to get better. I think City's going to win again. And I think it's going to look a lot like Haaland of 2 years ago and not last year.
All right. Well, you know who I have player of the year.
No, I don't.
Bukayo Saka is going to win player of the year.
You said Saliba. When we talked last year, you were like, I could see Saliba doing the...
Okay.
Who won...
we talked last year.
No, but I'm just saying. You expected me to guess.
Bukayo Saka will win player of the year. He should have won it last year, and I think he'll win it by a landslide this year.
He
should have won it last year.
That's a wrong
He was the best player in the Premier League last year.
No, that's so bad. That's actually really bad.
16 goals, 9 assists last year. He's going to have 20.
16 goals, 9 assists is a nothing.
He's going to have 20 plus goals and 12 plus assists this year. He's going to put on a historic campaign.
I'm not saying Saka can't win Player of the Year if Arsenal
I'm
wins.
just letting you know, put your money on it.
A correlated decision based off of your previous predictions. That's good.
Okay, biggest surprise.
Brighton, easy.
Yeah, mine was Fulham. I think Fulham finishing top half of the table would be a huge surprise.
See, I just had to hold the brakes on Fulham because I knew you were going to come in like Smith Rowe is going to.
If Smith Rowe is healthy, he is potentially going to make team of the season if he's healthy.
Yeah, you are high.
Biggest letdown.
Chelsea.
Yeah, I had Aston Villa. I think they'll be upset if they finish 6th spending this much money. I think that would be a bit of a letdown.
The Premier League and them being in Champions League.
But like they get knocked out of the group stage. Well, it's not group stage, whatever it's called, the league stage, and then they drop into Conference League, spending this much money. I think that'll be seen as a letdown. Sure. First manager sacked.
Maresca. I have it correlated. I think they're gonna.
How early?
I said by Christmas.
Really?
I think.
Wait, but pre or post Christmas? I need pre or post Boxing Day. The 27th, 26th, or before?
With the way they moved with Pochettino, no one's safe. The reason Pochettino left is because he wasn't seeing eye to eye with the board. If things are going poorly, regardless of how the board and them are seeing it, there's just too much money spent. They cannot be bad for much longer, or else the whole thing is going to be completely fucking blown up. They got to make changes now. And
so if Maresco goes, they bring Tuchel back?
No, what I'm thinking is we talked about it in our U.S. manager preview. It's like there's so many good managers without a job right now. I think a Chelsea job is attractive enough to where if things are...
Is it attractive? It may be at the point where it's no longer attractive.
It is. And you live in London. You have an unlimited budget. You have a great squad.
But you have an unlimited budget with a guy who's a fucking nonsensical idiot.
Okay, and maybe it's in the negotiations where it's like the guy comes in. It's like, you've seen what you've done wrong. Here's example A, B, and C. Right. If I come in, maybe we change it up a little. So that's why I think they'll be quickest to act, as they did with Pochettino. And there's a lot of Chelsea-level managers out there.
Yeah, I got Nuno being sacked. I think he's sacked before November. I think Nottingham find themselves deep trouble first 2 months of the year, and they panic because that's a team with a lot of players on the books who cannot afford to go down. And so I think he's got a short leash. So I got Nuno.
Fair. I like it.
All right, now team of the season prediction. You want to just rip through your team?
This is going to get...
It's going to get spicy.
Yeah. All right. Starting in goal, I have Alisson. If he's healthy, he's the best goalkeeper in the world, and I couldn't pick Ederson because I don't even know if he's going to be there. And
wait, you shot me down so fast on that.
No, I shot you down on KDB.
I said both.
I know, and I shot you down on KDB. That's all. Alisson, they'll finish third. They'll keep enough clean sheets to where he'll be in the discussion, and it'll be a combination of clean sheets and saves. The reason I don't have Raya is because I think, once again, he's going to have to virtually do nothing because the defense is going to be so good.
Okay. I have Emi Martinez in goal.
Oh, okay.
I think Aston Villa will come down to earth a little bit. He'll continue to have to be excellent between the sticks. He's always got the great penalty saves. He's become a media favorite in a lot of ways.
100%.
He was actually one of the best shot stoppers advanced analytics-wise last year, which I did not realize.
He was really good for Argentina as well.
But yeah, I was even just looking specifically in the Premier League. But I really wanted to go Alfonso Areola because I think if West Ham rise a little bit, he gets a little bit more prominence. Sure. But I think not good enough in controlling his box and with his feet, so I don't think he'll win it. But I got Emi Martinez as the goalie.
Where'd you go, right back or left back first?
Right back.
I went Pedro Porro.
Obviously you did.
Is that obvious? He's the only Tottenham player I have on the side.
No, I just knew that was going to be your Tottenham player on the side. Well, I think you think of him very, very highly.
I think he's brilliant. I think the Ange system fits him perfectly. The way he gets inverted, and can pick passes, or sometimes when he gets wide. And I think with consistency with Brennan Johnson out on that right side, I think they will create a very good dynamic. And he's outside of Trent, I think he's the best right back on the ball. And team of the season in wing backs is usually won by your goal involvements more than how well you actually defend, just because it's a media award who gets talked about the most. So that's why I think Porro has an advantage. You know how I feel about Ben White. Kyle Walker's aging. Reece James isn't going to stay fit. Trent might not even be there. So all those factors, Porro.
I got Ben White at right back for a lot of reasons. He was the best right back in the league last year, number one. Number two being, I think he's going to finally really get the recognition he deserves this year. I think he's going to have a lot more freedom.
Product of the system.
Overlapping with Bukayo Saka, because I think you're going to see Calafiori
play. Is he starting right back?
Yeah.
So who's not starting, Timber or Calafiori?
Calafiori's. I don't think either of them start week one. I'm just based off
who
of
starts
fitness.
what's the starting back for the second half of the season?
Starting back four is going to be White, Saliba, Gabriel, Calafiori. That I think is...
what is Timber?
Timber's
He's too good to be a bench warmer.
He is not. That's the thing. Like, people always say, like, who's the starting? Like, look at City's back line. It's always rotating. Sometimes it's a Kanji, Diaz.
That's fair.
Okay, sometimes like you would never call of Gavardio, Ake,
Yes,
Diaz, Stones, a Kanji. That's five players who play three positions.
That's fair. I agree.
So yeah,
I'm with you.
And I think what's going to help him get into the team of the season is that Southgate's gone. He's going to become England's starting right back, and so people are going to realize finally how good he is not with Arsenal.
That's not true though.
I'm telling you my opinion. It's not a matter of truth.
No, he's not going to start for England.
I think he's going to start
over
for
Walker and Trent.
I think Walker's time with England is coming to an end. I think we saw it this, and I think Trent's future is not at right back.
Okay. Well, it's not a center mid either, so maybe he's just done as a player.
All right, we both have Saliba at right center back. We both have William Saliba at right center back. I have William Saliba at right center back.
I do as well.
Okay. Left center back.
I have Ruben Diaz. I couldn't pick. One of Man City's center backs will be there.
Okay.
I put Diaz.
I put Margehi if he goes to with the caveat that if he goes to Newcastle. Okay. I think he goes to Newcastle and it's another player like rose prominently. Like the thing with England and the team. Like,
by the way, I'm tracking the amount of City players you have in your team.
Okay.
You're at 0. Just continue, but I'm
There's plenty. There are plenty.
Okay, just know I'm
there
tracking.
Are plenty. Okay.
That's all.
Mark Gahey, yeah. I think he's going to have an incredible season. I think he's gained a little bit more recognition. I think Newcastle get a European spot, and he's one of the main reasons why, like a rock for them in the back. They had troubles with their defense last year.
This guy chooses to use Euro performances when he wants. Whatever.
I think England Euro performances gain recognition with English media, and that's a lot of the way people are seen amongst like the people who watch this is the way media talk about them, not with their eyes.
I guarantee we have the same pick at left back. Vardiol.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just see, that's a City player.
I know.
All right.
If
we have the same amount of City players so far. 1.
No,
you have 2. Oh, sorry. Right. 6. We both have Rodri.
Yep.
Okay.
Next.
I got Odegaard making the team of the season. I think he's gotten better and better and better, and like he will also be in the race.
How many Arsenal players are we at? We're at Ben White, Saliba.
That's the third one.
And Odegaard. Okay. I have Bruno Guimaraes.
Okay.
I think he's like.
I think that's fair.
I think he's like a top 5 center mid in the entire world, and the fact that your point. If he went to Man City, a midfield of Rodri, De Bruyne, and Bruno G would be absolutely disgusting. Yeah. Yes. That.
Same thing as like Rice, Guimaraes, and Odegaard. I think that's equally as good midfield.
Well, it's not equally as good because De Bruyne is better than Odegaard and Rodri's better than Rice.
That's up for debate. The second one.
No, it's not. Which one? The Ballon d'Or winner? That one's up for debate? Stop.
Okay.
No. Acknowledge that it's not up for debate. Please.
This season,
I'm begging you.
I think it'll become a pretty good debate.
We've officially lost the plot.
No.
Yes.
It was already a debate last year. People were debating it.
No. Only Arsenal fans. That's what you need to
That's
realize.
probably
it's not
fair.
a debate.
That's probably
if
fair.
One team is debating 19.
Who is your attacking midfielder?
Kevin De Bruyne.
Okay.
I don't care. He's still the best until he's
not going to play enough games to be in the team this season.
Disagree.
I got Harvey Elliott.
I
think he's going to be
ridiculous.
so
start enough.
I think he's going to be so good in this slot system.
If he's going to start enough.
All right, you need to throw some hot takes in here. We're not just going to be like, oh, De Bruyne. Like, no shit. Harvey Elliott.
Well, the way you talk about De Bruyne, apparently that's a hot
I don't think he'll play enough games, so I didn't want to put him in here.
Sure.
Obviously, De Bruyne is better than Harvey Elliott. That's not my point.
I know. That's not what I'm saying.
I think this system, the Arne Slot system, is very much about these two attacking 8-10s.
With hot takes, you just have to know if they're going to play.
He's been amazing in preseason. I think Szoboszlai is not going to play as much as everyone thinks. I think Harvey Elliott's going to play a lot of football for the team this year.
Where does Cody Gakpo fit into this system?
Does he?
He was so good.
So good. I agree. I'm not making fun of you. He was so good.
I know. So what do you do?
I just haven't seen it in the Premier League to that level yet, so I'm just not sure.
He's never gotten consistent minutes. Anyways, all right. So you have...
Rodri, Odegaard, Elliott is my midfield.
Okay, I have Rodri, Bruno, KDB.
Keeping track of you have one Arsenal player so far.
Saliba, correct.
That's crazy. They're going to win the Premier League.
Okay, continue.
Right wing, everyone here has Saka.
Everyone does.
Okay.
Yep.
That's good that we're all being smart today.
Yes.
Very exciting.
Striker.
You know who I have.
You have Isak.
I have
okay,
Isak.
and I have Holland. Okay.
And then left wing Foden.
Yes.
Come on.
That.
That's great.
That is great. I'm shocked.
I didn't want to put Foden in.
I am shocked.
I did not want to put Foden in.
So what made you?
The left wing spot is
awful.
Ugly. Like,
could just
I almost had to throw in Martinelli
Son.
just for the content.
No,
like,
it could just be Son, like, if he's consistently
no,
playing.
I think, like, Son's not in the team by January.
That is
He was
so bad.
so awful the second half of the year.
So bad.
He was probably the worst
best
attacker.
Premier League wingers of all time.
Well, all right, let's be
That's
a little.
a fact.
He's one of the best the last 10 years. He's
Of all time.
probably top 12 all time.
Okay, careers in the Premier League. Son or Alexis Sanchez?
Oh, on longevity, Son.
Just...
If I could choose one for a game, I'm taking Alexis Sanchez. Not the same position at all, but I'm taking Alexis Sanchez. They don't play the same position.
I understand. He's top 5, top 10 winger of all time in the Premier League.
Sterling or Son?
Awards, like
No.
awards wise,
Okay,
you have to give
you're
it to
ranking
Son.
the top 10 Premier League
Yeah,
wingers
I
of
would
all
take
time.
Son over Sterling.
I'm not sure about that.
And I'm a big Sterling fan.
Me too.
People are blinded by what's happened at Chelsea. He was brilliant.
Brilliant.
Both
They're
places.
blinded by the first year at City where he couldn't finish, and since he's gone to Chelsea, but the middle 6 years he was incredible.
I agree. All right,
Mane or Son? Come on.
Son. Yeah.
No, that's the stupidest fucking thing I've ever heard.
I'm glad you had Foden. That's showing real maturity.
You have 2 Arsenal players in the team of the season. We had 4 last
Saka
year.
and Saliba. Yeah.
We had 4 last year. I'm just saying, like, you think we're going to regress?
No, I just think this.
We had 5 last. No, we had 4 last year.
I just think the system is so good. Maybe you get one more defender.
You're so obsessed with this whole system. What do you think makes the system good? Just the manager?
The way you control possession.
And what about the City system?
What about it?
That doesn't factor into where you have players ranked.
They have better individual players. That's why they.
Oh, so our players are
That's why
shit
they-
outside of our
No,
system.
They're
They
just
were
not
all
as good. That's exactly why they haven't won the title, and Man City has.
understood.
That makes sense, right?
Thanks for watching our Premier League preview. This was a lot of fun.
A lot of fun.
Next time you'll see us, we'll be recapping the first week of the Premier League.
Wow.
How about that for fun?
Insane.
Every Monday morning, we will have it to you live for you to watch. Recaps of the Premier League throughout the entire season. Every Monday morning, this is your channel. We'll be covering the top 6.
Completely unbiased takes, too.
Completely unbiased
Yes,
takes.
yes.
Shake on that. Completely
Shake.
unbiased takes.
Yes. Shake.
So make sure to hit the subscribe button, Yanks Abroad. We'll also be doing some fun other stuff, as well as clips from these full videos on our socials, Instagram, TikTok, at Yanks Abroad Pod, Twitter as well. Hit us in the comments with who you think is going to finish 1 through 20. Hit us your top 4, top scorers, all your biggest predictions for the season. Arsenal will win the title. We'll come back to this in a few months.
Peace.